Sounds great, sir. All right, it's called to order for the Lunenburg Sewer Commission for August 26th, 2025 at 6:04 p.m. My name is Brett Ramsden. I'm the chairman of the Sewer Commission, and I'd like to ask everybody to join me. Whoops, let me get my camera better. In citing the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, we have two flags. I pledge allegiance
to the
to
flag
the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. In accordance with the requirements of open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg YouTube access channel after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda, or from a telephone dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID number 831-872-9944. If you have not registered with Zoom before, you will be asked for your name and email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press pound when asked. I will do a roll call vote to confirm that all members and staff are present, and please respond in the affirmative. Scott Dahl.
Here.
And Dan Proctor.
Here.
Is Arthur Cadis here yet? Not as of yet. And I myself, Brett Ramsden, am here. And then we'll go with the staff. Excuse me, Bill Bernard.
I'm here.
Andrew Valerie.
Here.
And Jean Rainley, of course.
Here.
All right, very good. I'd like to start by asking if there's any public comment to be had, if there is any public, and otherwise, if there's any comments from commissioners or staff, would be the time. I do want to thank those of you who made it to the meeting today with Town Council. Moving forward, I guess we'll jump into the current business, and first up is to approve our minutes from June 24th.
I read them.
So
I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
I second that.
we have a motion that's been seconded. Dan Proctor,
Aye.
Scott Dahl,
Aye.
and I for myself. We're going to jump into the sewer business manager / DPW director updates. We're going to jump right into the meeting with Town Council that happened this morning at 10 a.m. at the library, as I understand. Bill, did you want to start that off?
Sure, I can. So it was Andrew, Dan, and I met with the Town Council, and we were talking about ADUs. So Town Council gave us a high-level overview of the new ADA law, and it's pretty silent on utilities. So his recommendation for us was to come up with a new regulation for us so that we know how to handle these, how much the fees are going to be and I can't even remember, but anything else we want to put in there in that reg, just so it's written down somewhere, so we have precedents, right?
Mhm.
We have guidelines to go by. So we just don't want to. We could stay silent on it. It could work, but it's better that we have something in place.
I agree. Refresh my memory on making regulations. Do we have to go to a town vote on that, or can we vote in our own regulations?
You can do your own.
As I thought.
Right. If we do a bylaw,
Right.
then that's a town meeting vote. But a regulation,
Mm.
that's up to you. Would have to check. I think it probably has to be super majority, so we'll have to check on that when the time comes.
Director, is there anything that we didn't know about going in that you can think of, that popped up regarding, I mean, we know the size of the maximum the unit can be in size. I would imagine, there's plenty of things on there, but I didn't know if anything new popped up.
Right, so that's the sizes in the ADU law, right? So that's nothing we have to worry about. So if it's, approved by the building commissioner, then
Hmm.
that's his purview. Dan, what do you think? What else am I missing?
Yeah, no, he was talking about, like you say, 900 square foot, it has to be an auxiliary dwelling unit, so it has to be a pre-existing lot. It can't be subdivided. There aren't any regulations as far as like who is in that ADU unit. In other words, you can rent it to somebody. It can be your sister-in-law, or it can be some person you've never met before. I didn't realize, like, we asked about the state part of it, and the state basically stepped in and said zoning cannot be involved. In other words, ADU units are allowed per zoning for the state. But like Bill just said earlier, I was surprised that, sewer, water, electric, whatever, you can control your own destiny. So as a sewer commission, if we said we didn't want any ADU units in the town of Lunenburg, we could vote that in. I mean, I know Bill looked at me and we both kind of said, we wouldn't really want to do that, not in this town. But that's just my opinion. That's Bill's opinion. But it is out there for the committee that we do have that power, if we so choose. So I was surprised at that. Actually, I was kind of like, okay. But, and again, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that because I think there is a need for it. And I understand why the state wants them. And, but it is interesting. Like you said, we can control our own destiny, and we can write, certain things, whether, the connection has to go, through the house and then down the existing line, or are we just going to tee in, with a manhole or a PVC T setup. So, there's a lot of things that we can, write up and control it, which I think is great.
Was it just brought up to them, just potential of this land, these units being sold off separately, like down the road? Did they prefer having direct tie-ins just to avoid any possible future problems? If stuff,
Right, I asked that question and he said the parcel cannot be subdivided.
Mhm.
I know what we're saying, but
Mhm.
I don't know what's going to happen in 15 years. You know what I mean? It's a one bedroom, then that person, condoizes it, sells it off, then that person applies to, put another bedroom on, because now it's a separate unit. You know what I mean? I'm just afraid of having to rebuild the system.
I think what it's always going to be is, hypothetically, it's going to be lot, 1420, Oak Ave. Then the auxiliary unit goes in and it's still 1420 Oak Ave. Like you say, if that becomes condoized and that unit gets sold to a separate party, it's still 1420 Oak Ave. It's just separate unit of that. Is that how you understood it, Bill and Andrew?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Scott is suggesting would require a change in the state law.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's how I understood it.
So in the end, where you say it's up to us, whether we said, hey, no, we don't want these at all. I mean, is it still up in the air that we do it on a case-by-case basis, or is that going to be too much?
I would not be in favor of saying we don't want any. So I would rather be proactive and say, okay, here's what the tie-in fee is going to be, X amount of dollars. here's the regulations that we're gonna require. Again, we want PVC piping, you know, with sweep 90s and T's and that type of stuff in lieu of manholes. You know, I said to Bill, manholes are our biggest nightmare as far as water infiltration. So I just don't feel like we really need them. You know, the fact of the matter is these plumbing lines are gonna be on private property. So if they have problems with, you know, backup and blockage because of something, then it is really on them and not on us. So
Yeah.
I would rather have tight, you know, gasketed
Yeah,
sewer lines installed.
Yeah, I wasn't insinuating that we say no, or I want to say no. I was just talking about is it better for us to, instead of just saying a blanket yes, do we do it on a case by case, or is it just,
Well, gentlemen, let's talk about that, because I'm thinking,
unless it's just
you know,
a,
it's not our job to say no. If the building department, planning
no,
board,
yeah, I
and
don't,
so forth is on board with it in any particular home, it's not our job to stop that. Secondly, my thought is when it comes to case by case, my thought was, what if we focus on a regulation that might have some alternative, you know, on the unexpected situation that could arise, like have a flat fee. My thought, this is just what I was thinking, throwing it out there, that start with a flat fee for any unit that connects, you know, to the house line as we expect on their property, as it should, and it goes out to the road as it did before with the original structure. Alternatively, my thought was, what if we have a part of the regulation that says, okay, what about that rare situation where they're going to have to go straight to the line? It's bound to happen at some point, or, you know,
well,
or
they're
there
gonna,
might be,
well,
they could even be,
'cause it's the
could there possibly is, I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
no, I'm saying, or they're gonna ask for it because it's the most direct and, as we said before, cost prohibited to them.
Right, but again, in the regulation, we can make sure that we're in control of those that decide
Yeah,
when it goes straight in. So that would be a case by
fine with
case
that if we come up with just a bunch
part
of,
of it.
you know, regulations, and yeah, I'm fine with, as long as they're gonna meet whatever, you know, we all agree on is, good for the town and the system, you know?
Right, and then my other question would be, and this may have already been answered, it's just a passing thought I had. Is it possible for one of these people on the system that are, you know, in our system district, but is not actually, they actually have a septic system out back now,
Yeah,
and they're not able to add this unit to it, but need to go to the sewer, and yet their septic system is still good for the house. Because that is kind of a different thing. Do you see where I'm coming from? Now they're adding a whole new line, and I'm guessing, my thought is that falls under the original hookup fee. You see what I mean? If we, assuming we approve that.
new tie-in, and that would be that whole, Bill, am I correct to say that would be that whole other issue of a initial tie-in, and if they fall in the, what's the word I'm looking for? The approved zones?
Yeah.
Precisely.
So,
Go ahead, Bill.
yeah, Brett brings up a good point. There might be a house that's in the sewer service area, and maybe they've even paid a betterment, but they've never connected.
That's the free, I couldn't think of the word.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they might have a septic system that's good for 3 bedrooms, and now they're gonna do an ADU that adds a bedroom. Well, they can't put it into their septic system, it won't be allowed.
My
So
point
maybe they're
exactly.
gonna wanna connect the ADU only. It's a possibility, sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cost conducive to them, their best interest would be to tie in their whole system
Right, at that point, probably.
Yeah, exactly, rather than, because
Mhm.
down the road, if they wanna put the house on, the original dwelling, they're gonna pay a whole nother fee, I
Well,
can't
that's
see.
one of the things that chances are we would recommend to the people, or at least have it set up that they could easily do that sometime in the near future.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would almost like to force them to tie in at that point.
That's not a, that's something
And
I
then,
was
and I,
debating.
like what Scott was saying earlier, I mean, personally, I think kind of what town council was talking about, if this is one lot and that's the auxiliary dwelling unit goes to that one lot, I don't think I would be in favor of having separate lines going
Yeah.
out to the street, because now you're gonna have two taps, and that's, again, kind of defeating the whole purpose. So I think we should force them to tie into that existing line is there.
By forcing
Yeah.
them,
Just say that it's not allowable to run another line.
but, sorry, tie in.
Right, I don't think we can legally force them, but we could say, no, we're not gonna allow it unless you tie in your house at the same time, then we'll allow it.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna.
But we can't say no, just for the sake of saying no.
No, I wasn't saying that, I was just trying to bring the two together, okay, if we're gonna say only tie-ins to the original dwelling, no new connections, then that ostensibly pushes if they're building a separate one that's on septic and they're currently on septic, they would need to tie in, so it is forcing them to put the whole, you're not gonna have the separate ADU unless you put the whole house on public.
Which I believe the Board of Health is gonna make them do that anyhow.
Yeah, I think it would be recommended
I
to
think they will.
Right,
everything.
because the
tied in.
Board of Health is gonna say that you have a 3-bedroom house, you have a 3-bedroom septic, now you're adding a 4th bedroom.
Yeah,
Your septic system can't handle it, so they're gonna tell you, you have to tie it all in.
we don't need that overrun problems.
Right.
Right,
And then you're gonna have that rare person that shows up, that just redid their septic system 2 years before. And, they
Yeah, but that's,
can't afford to do both at the moment kind of thing, and then we'll have to discuss that and see what what the Board of Health says.
But
Is
we
gonna be the
can't-
final say there.
or even town council if they weren't gonna allow that, so I mean, look, we can't be held responsible for what those, the state or feds put in order, you know what I mean? It's unfortunate, yes, and I can understand their financial concern, but it doesn't, I hate to say it, it's almost not our concern.
And
Yeah.
that very rarely happens. 90% of the time, if the property has a failed septic system and there's sewer in front of the property, the Board of Health's gonna make you tie into sewer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Or you have to prove, like, you're not gonna get any variances requested for your septic system. In other words, you have to be fully compliant. As Soon as you start asking for variances, then they're gonna say, no, you need to pump. I mean, you need to put it into the sewer, if the sewer is in front of your facility, your house, so.
Yeah, and even then, I think Bill can attest that there's been a lot of applications, right, from people formerly on septic, requesting to tie in. Just because of the cost of septic has gone up so much with rebuilding and,
yeah, it happens.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying it seems to be the trend anyways.
Yeah. So one other thing we discussed is we bill off of water meters. So we cannot force somebody to put a water meter in their ADU. So, if their ADU's going to their mother-in-law, may not be a big deal for them, but if they plan on renting it out, they might want to have a meter in there, right? So, but that's up to them. We can't force them to say, get a meter.
And then they're really becoming a landlord, that, even if they can't split it, they might be like, all right, you're responsible for 20% of our water and sewer bill, but that's just on them.
Right, that's
Well,
on them. Yeah.
Wait a minute. So you're saying, Bill, if the water department feeds the ADU, they're not required to put a meter on it.
Well, if it's coming from the other house, the main house,
Then it's going through a meter
then they're
anyway.
not gonna put a meter. If they're gonna put a separate water line,
Oh,
most likely gonna put a meter.
Mentioned to Joe Smith that's not related to you, is just saying that could be,
Yeah,
but for them.
But it would act just like an irrigation meter, so if they put a separate one in, it came into the house and then went to the ADU unit with a separate meter, it would be kind of the same thing. You take the main reading and then you take the one at the ADU and do the math is what it would be. So it'd be
And now
kind of
the
the same
accountant's
concept.
out in me and going in my head, well, what happens if they're the owner of 1400 Mass Ave isn't paying their water and sewer bill, the lien goes on that house, that goes on the whole property, which includes where the tenant is.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Um, Before we go further, I just want to say, ask Andrew, could you start putting maybe some notes of this conversation down, maybe some headings of, meters, another heading of fees, another heading of just some general notes, because we do need to put some regulations together.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you hear any pertinent conversation, it looks like it might be going in a certain direction. If you could sort of take a note down, that'd be great. I know it'll be in the minutes too, but I'm talking just strictly for the ADUs
Yeah.
conversation.
yeah, and that's a good thought. And the other thing we're gonna do is we're gonna reach out to Leominster and Fitchburg to see if they're in the same process or have already done something. Because we want our reg to be pretty close to theirs since we're sending all our wastewater to them. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
yeah.
What's the best way to find that out? Would you or Andrew reach out to them and see if they
Yeah.
have anything in place?
Yep, Andrew will reach out to him.
I think I had mentioned a couple meetings ago, the last time I did talk to Leominster Sewer, yeah, it was more about the fees, and they basically said they didn't have any fees for ADU units, but if you added a bedroom to your house, then they charged you a 1 bedroom,
Yeah,
Mhm.
additional fee. That's how Leominster did it at that time, but
Mhm.
yeah. That's what we're doing now.
Yeah.
To put one or two we got.
in Harvard, and they were just like, they're not even concerned with it.
they didn't have a clue, yeah, at this point. Oh.
Mm.
And I understand, and town council said that. I mean, what did he say? He handles 47 municipalities or something like that. And he said they've had very few conversations about these ADUs. And I get that. But I just feel like once they get out
Mm.
and people realize, I mean, if you can rent an ADU unit for, $1,200-$1,500 a month,
Yeah.
it's a nice little income that,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be much. Single kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom, little living room, 900 square feet. There's nothing wrong with it for sure. So I think they are gonna become popular.
Yeah, the law's only been in place for 6 months, so,
Right. That's right.
yeah.
It's only gonna take the one, your neighbor building one to really,
Yeah.
put it, get the ball rolling.
Yep.
Or
Right.
it's gonna be some contractors and builders that are gonna just specialize in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm on to something.
Could be.
Okay, if it's okay if we come up with like a little draft of what each of our individuals, and then we give it to Andrew and Bill and say, here's what I jotted down. What do you think? That type of thing, like a starting template.
I
Or do
think that's a
or
great.
do we just always throw it on them? I don't know how.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's a great idea.
everybody has different thoughts. So.
Okay, no, that's fine. I don't mind jotting down a few things. I mean, I know you guys are busy, but I'll write down a couple ideas of certain
No,
things.
that's great. Start
Yeah, I would love that.
throwing some spaghetti at the wall, see where it lands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. We just need sort of a starting point. This isn't going to be all wrapped up tonight or the next meeting, I'm sure.
No.
No.
But thank you, everybody. Do we want does anyone have any more thoughts regarding the ADU subject in the meeting?
I mean, it seems like we're making good progress with it, which is great, because the hardest part was, basically just getting in front of town council to see what their thoughts were.
Yep.
And
Then the other thing we did talk about with town council, Bill, you want to explain the whole easement?
oh, good.
Yeah, so for the easement, it requires a waiver. So we looked at the waiver language a little closer than we've discussed, and there's 3 criteria. The applicant has to meet all 3 criteria for us to grant a waiver. And the first one is a really high hurdle.
Hmm.
It's basically, is there some kind of emergency? Right? So
Yeah,
I mean, there could be any kind of emergency, but in my mind, it's, maybe they have a backup that needs immediate attention. It's, polluting a waterway, something like that. That's what I picture as an emergency. Contractors might come in with some other ideas, but that's what you guys will have to decide what meets that criteria. The other 2 criteria I think are pretty low. I think pretty much anybody can meet them, but that first one is tough.
but, yeah, even if you look at it from quote unquote, our sewer commission, I'm sorry, waste point of view, you're downhill and somebody uphill's, pipe is coming through your property and something happens there and you're the one that's being inundated with their waste. Yeah, I fully agree that there should be some kind of emergency. And I think that's kind of what we were talking about, saying that,
Hmm.
hey, what happens if these people build a fence and stuff over this, easement and stuff, their fence is gonna get torn up, well, who's responsible for that?
Mhm.
So it's just kind of that thing down the road too.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I'm talking 5 or 6 years ago, I did a sewer hookup on Leominster Road for a gentleman, and we had the tie card that Bob had sent to me. We found the stub. We did a straight shot from the stub right to the house, right to the foundation. No bends, nothing. And about 6 months later, the adjacent property came to Jack Rodquins and said, I think that sewer line got put on my property. So they did some research of the property lines, and what happened was when the stub was put on the property, came off the road for the gentleman that I work for, they made a mistake where they put the sub. So it was literally in front of the other house's property. So they asked whether it was a woman, they asked whether she would grant an easement, and she said, no, I want that removed from my property, what have you. Now, in my mind, if that had happened and she granted the easement, then that would be an emergency, because it was really a mistake by the town when they did the sewer line. They didn't have good property lines, that type of stuff. So long story short, they put 2 90s in, so they 90'd it, they went down the public way, and then another 90 to service the house, the original house. So, which was kind of, a tough way to do it, but that's what they did. So anyhow, I mean, that's kind of an emergency, scenario. There was a mistake made. You don't need to point fingers at where the mistake was made, who made it, whatever, but it was done, right? It just was not where it was supposed to be as far as property lines. So that's kind of an emergency type situation.
Yeah,
In my mind, that's just my opinion, but
no, that's rough.
Absolutely.
It could be many other scenarios,
Mhm.
but yeah, I just wanted to bring it to your attention that there's that 3 criteria and that the first one, in my mind, is the toughest.
So what exactly were the other 2 criteria?
One was, is it in the best interest of the town or in the commission? And what was the second one? I'm trying to remember.
financial.
That the owner says, okay.
Well, a hardship. Is there a hardship? And it doesn't specify what a hardship is.
Right.
So financial could be a hardship.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Very good. Well, that was a very excellent discussion we had there. Feel like we made some headway. We learned a lot from council, which is great. On several subjects. Shall we move forward to the how things went? A recap of the Touch a Truck gathering. I heard it was quite a hit.
Sure. I just want a huge thanks to Scott. His contribution was the most well received, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
The cotton candy line had to be 10 deep all day.
All day.
All day. It was unreal.
My truck driver didn't like it because a couple of the kids went into my truck and had cotton candy all over the steering wheel, but that's another whole subject. question.
I when it was into it.
That's funny.
Wow,
Great
it
job,
was
Scott.
such a great day.
Yeah,
It was a great
Just
day.
turned out like crazy.
Yeah, it was.
If you haven't watched the video that Pack made,
oh,
it's
I
on
saw it.
YouTube, Pack,
That to
you
me.
gotta watch the video. They did a great job.
Yeah, it came out great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as next year we can be maybe not downwind from the bubble machine.
Yeah, yeah.
We're eating
I got soap in the eyes, yeah.
Yeah.
But wow,
Yeah,
what a fun
must
day.
have
It was good.
Give the
we-
cotton candy more flavor.
I mean, I think I served about 250, a little over 300. So
Yeah, it was a lot.
yeah,
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
did you count how many, roughly how many kids were there? I mean, it's hard to tell because I couldn't see where we were on the other side where the
Yeah.
truck were,
Right.
but it looked
It
like it
just
was,
kept flowing in.
Yeah.
and the video was good because it showed a lot of the donations that came in,
Mhm.
filling up the back of the truck.
Yeah. The school supplies. The whole back of the truck was filled. The back seat,
That's great.
Wow.
four-door pickup truck filled right up to the windows.
That's great.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing.
That's great.
Yeah. Thank you, Lunenburg.
Fantastic.
That was
Thank you,
amazing.
Lunenburg.
I'm around next year. I'm sure I'll be helping out again.
Some of us dropped it off later at the police station and make sure it got there. But no, that sounds like just a complete success, and
Yeah.
Just
great job everybody involved.
Yeah, good.
And special thanks to the DPW, the fire department, the police, and of course Scott Dahl for bringing it all
And-
together.
Yeah, and a big shout out to a former sewer commissioner,
the whole thing, right?
Dave
Ah, yes.
McDonald,
Yeah.
it was his idea, and boy, did he do
Great.
a ton of work to get this
Mhm.
up and running. And
Nice,
yeah,
great job, Dave.
can't thank him enough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
next year you might need a remote parking lot for in valet.
yeah, we could have used it.
Wow. All right, well, we'll have to see how next year goes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But fantastic, that's great. And was there any other interesting surprises during the touch of truck? Just asking if a clown showed up or anything. Just curious.
No clown.
Nope.
All right.
Uh,
Well, we'll move on then.
It was
Great job, everybody. What about so we got the manhole repair IFB up there still, Bill? and
Yeah,
everything?
so what's holding it up now is the manhole framing grates have been ordered, but they're on back order. They're not due in until October, he's telling me. Oh man, that's crazy.
scheduled. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right.
Wow.
And looking at the 17 Rennie Street adjustment, I know you gave us a
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what that was.
little
so
numbers
that is
over
a,
here, list of numbers.
it seems a little confusing. It would be because normally our meters are assigned to certain addresses correctly. So there was an incident that happened a couple of quarters ago. And I was trying to work on, well, me and Bill, the water department, for some reason, 17 Runny's meter was assigned to 10 Runnies. So that customer was actually paying for number 10's usage and vice versa. So her bill for those quarters, whatnot, I mean, if you see the amounts on there versus 10 versus 17, she's actually owed a $79, almost $80 credit on her bill. And for me to do an adjustment this quarter for her, because it's been a little while, unfortunately. So for me to do I have to bring it up to the commissioners, and to vote on that, because like I said, it's she has a minimum bill, so she'd have a minimum bill minus that almost $80 amount So I need to bring it up to you, the commissioners, to for that correction on kind of the overpayment that she's made over the X amount of quarters that the meter was not correctly in her
I'm just amazed that she
under
found
her address.
she figured
Yeah, I am too.
a reverse snowbird or something and was gone for a couple months. Like, why is my bill so high? I wasn't even.
Yep.
Do you actually
Let's-
for a check back, or do you like credit it? How do you?
Just credit her bill. That's what she's looking for. She just
Okay.
wants a credit on this quarter's bill. If I can do an adjustment for that amount, that's all she's asking for, and I mean rightfully so.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, if you're confident in the numbers,
Yeah.
I would.
Well, in that case, pretty straightforward. I'm looking for a motion.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would make a motion to vote in the refund request for the incorrect billing.
I'll second that.
All right, we've got a motion for the 79.95 adjustment for 17 Rennie Street. It's been seconded, and we'll start with Dan Proctor,
Aye.
Scott Dahl,
Aye.
and I for myself. Motion passes. Thank you, everybody.
thank you.
And then the last thing on our agenda here is actually the ADUs again.
I actually
General group discussion.
I did. I put that. I wasn't thinking. I put that on there. I mean, if there's anything else we can talk about, because kind of goes in line with the town council, I guess. So,
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
it all works. It's all good.
we
great.
follow. Yeah.
And if there's anything else that's been percolating in anybody's brain since we were talking about it, feel free to mention it now. Otherwise, we'll certainly have that on
Yeah, we're making good headway with it.
all future, certainly being a future agenda item.
Let me ask, just because I don't know procedurally, I know Dan had said, why don't we jot down some notes about what we're thinking for regulations or whatever, and then this is something, Bill, this is something that would need to go in front of town council again?
Yeah.
Once up with regulations, or is this something that would go up to, the big council?
So I think once we come up with a regulation and everybody says, yeah, it looks pretty good, I think at that point, we'll send it off to town council, make sure it doesn't step on any other laws and that kind of thing. Just to get his opinion. And then once we get his blessing, I'm pretty sure we have to have a public hearing.
Yeah.
for it, right? So we'll have to advertise that and
And then we voted in.
we'll check. Yeah, then we voted in. We'll check the regs, make sure we do the right thing at that point.
Very good. Good question, Scott.
I mean, I'm gonna lean more towards, you guys with more expertise about what should be included in there, since I haven't been around any of these either, but as, especially Dan's expertise and Bill's tutelage. Yeah, I know Brett probably has. Yeah.
But any thought if,
Yeah.
even if you just want to shoot us an email?
Yeah,
be
I mean, I'll put it out there, whether it's remedial or not, or I'm overlooking anything. I'd rather just, not miss anything. So yeah, that'll be great.
All right.
Send them to Andrew so we don't have a group email going on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it can be sent to me.
That's right. Okay.
Makes sense. Excellent, gentlemen. Very good. Well, future agenda items. Certainly keep the ADUs on. We'll keep the manhole repair IFB up there just to have it there to see how things are, if things have been delivered. Beyond that, I'm sure there'll be one or two other things that the director or Andrew will be wanting to add to our list. In the meantime, I'm going to ask if there's any public comment from the public or chairman or staff. Commissioners or staff.
I just want to thank Bill for including me in the touch a truck thing, because it was a pretty, it's nice that mine was well received, but it was great to see the smiles on the kids' faces and stuff, and in a world with so much negative stuff in the news, it's have a couple hours of, I mean, I didn't see one kid crying.
No.
That's
That's
great.
right.
I saw some parents crying, but I didn't see any kids crying. So yeah, it seemed like they all had a great time. So I was really happy to be involved in that.
Well, we thank you very much, Scott, because it doesn't sound like it would have been nearly the success it was without you and
No.
your
No, absolutely not.
cotton candy.
That's-
Yeah.
there was tons of food there. Everyone was well fed. Nobody went home starving. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But
it was
yeah,
just something about cotton candy.
I think I did hear somebody behind me saying maybe they should get a second machine for next year, and I'm like, I'm like, I don't know where that came from, but I was like, all right.
Well, you got two arms, don't you?
Yeah, at least when the TV cameras were on, I didn't screw anything up. I seemed to get it on the stick for them. So
Yeah.
Too funny.
Mm.
Very good. Well, certainly well done by everybody involved, and
I agree.
the whole community thanks you all, and certainly a big help for the kids as well, of course, with not just the day, but of course the supplies.
To keep going, Bill, you might have to move it to like Marshall Park or something.
I think so.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
All right, so moving forward, we're looking ahead to September 9th for our next meeting, which is going to be a 7 p.m. regular hybrid meeting at the DPW, and then our next meeting would be September 30th. And that'll be a Zoom meeting at 6 p.m. Then our first October meeting is the 14th. And that's going to be 7 p.m. regular hybrid meeting at the DPW, and then October 18th will be a 6 p.m. Zoom meeting. So with nothing further to do, folks, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, we got a motion. It's been seconded. Scott Dahl,
Aye.
Dan Proctor,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you, Lunenburg. And thank you, everybody.
Have a
Have a
good
good
night.
night.
Good night.